let's get the meeting going first, we'll ask questions.
Right. So start the meeting 6:01. So we have John, Mike, Tammy, myself, Ernie. We're missing David Pratt, Larry Brown, David Benedict, and Doug Shute. We're also missing representatives Bruce Woodruff, Andy Rawson, and Claudine is going to be a little bit late.
Who will be a little bit late?
Claudine?
Yep.
So she's going to be a little bit late.
Why do we have two selectmen? Now that constitutes as a meeting, right?
Well, I'm assuming we have a quorum of the committee.
But you just said Andy Rawson and Claudine.
Yes.
That constitutes a meeting of the Board of Selectmen.
Oh, yeah. So,
If both of them were here.
Right.
so, I think one of the things that we have to do when they do all show up is they need to decide who's going to be the representative.
Yeah.
There
We
should
don't
only
need
be one.
We don't need a board of selectmen, you just a representative.
Right. Right. I think in the beginning they were all coming just to, spin up the committee.
Yeah.
But, going forward, I think they really only need one representative. And I'm sure Claudine seems interested in it,
Sure.
but,
Yeah.
I'm surprised Bruce didn't call in, but, Doug also has a conflict, so we know who's here. I added something to the agenda because Bruce does have a conflict because he has a meeting in Milton Borough at 7 p.m. So he's been calling in for an hour. He didn't want everybody to change just for him.
Yep.
But I got a call from Doug. He has a continual conflict because the school board meets on the same days that we had chosen. So I said, well, if two people,
So I
then
guess
it's
we're gonna
time
have a
to,
discussion tonight, huh?
what's that?
I guess we're gonna have a discussion tonight.
So it's tight because, which is not a big deal to you folks, I can always skip it. Casey Road is on the first Thursday. Budget committee is on the last Tuesday. School board is on the second and fourth Wednesday, which is what we were planning to do. Board of Selectmen is on the first and third Monday. Milton Conservation Committee, which I'm a vice chair on that, so I should probably go, is on the second Monday of each month. And the planning board is on the first and third Tuesday, which Larry is on.
You never
You're-
say Thursday.
Thursday's looking
You
open.
never say Thursday.
Yep.
So why?
TGIF.
So never say never.
So that pretty much leaves Thursdays, the second, third, and fourth.
I do not know my pin.
You do not know your pin?
No, is there a pin?
Is there a pin?
Well, he's
He
already
doesn't
on.
give him one if he wants one, but he doesn't need one.
Yeah, he's
You're
on.
you're on already. Can you hear us?
I can.
So you are Bruce. You're here.
Yeah, I'm Bruce. The link that's supposed to get you onto, the audio and the video doesn't work.
Does he need the pin for that? Is that
Do you want the pin for the audio and the video?
No, the link doesn't work at all.
Oh, it doesn't work at all. Can you try it without the HTTP?
Oh, is he using the email address? That won't work at all.
It was the one that was in the agenda.
Yes, that's what I tried.
He would have tried the HTTPS LGET.
It just takes you to the town website, that's all it does.
Really? That's nice.
But I'm here, I'm gonna listen and I answer questions if you ask, and I'm gonna take notes.
He is on, you can tell him that you are live streaming if you want.
We are live streaming as well, if you want to see us.
Okay, thanks.
So, that leaves, now we want to do one official day that we're going to meet every month.
So
We had-
one other, I'm on a couple of other committees too.
Yep,
One being the budget committee, we meet on Tuesdays, I think it's the last Tuesday of the month.
right,
The other one is the zoning board, that's the last Thursday of the month.
but you don't always meet, right?
Not always, no.
So, okay. No, I'm not diminishing it, I'm just saying,
No, just, yeah.
that's,
Yeah.
yep. So, that's the last Thursday,
So narrowing it down.
okay. So that leaves the second Tuesday and the second Tuesday and the fourth Tuesday.
I'll start, I'm good with the second Tuesday,
As the official.
yeah.
For instance, this month it would have been Tuesday the 8th. And then our second workshop could be the 22nd. So for October, it would be, what did I say, the 2nd? It would be like Tuesday the 13th and then Tuesday the 27th as a workshop. Which we don't have to do. You know, we were just gonna do 2 meetings a month just to get this committee going. We don't have to do that, especially around the holidays. But I find meeting once a month, you don't accomplish a lot. You know, there's too much time in between.
Mhm.
That's just my personal opinion.
And we can decide that at any one given meeting too, if we think we need to have more time together.
So, Bruce, can you hear me? So if we change to,
I got disconnected, sorry, but now I'm back.
okay, so if we change the meetings, the official once a month meeting to the, what did I say, the second
Second
Tuesday
Tuesday.
of the month, does that work for you?
Yeah, as long as it doesn't, yeah, so that's good because, the planning board meets on the first and third Tuesday.
Correct, that's what, yeah, I went through all the, I have a calendar and I X'd off all the, dates that didn't work from other committees. So, it looks like if we have our official monthly meeting on the second Tuesday of the month, and then if we want a workshop type meeting, just to have a second meeting during the month, we could go with the fourth Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, that sounds really good for me. I hope it's good for everyone else. That means that I can actually be there in person and be there for the whole meeting.
Okay, and, you know, cause I had, I didn't mention to you, but Doug had called me and he can't make this meeting either because the school board meets when we chose to meet originally, so that's why I decided to talk to the group about moving it, so.
Perfect, thanks.
So does anybody wanna make a motion?
I will make a motion that we change our meeting to the second Tuesday of each month.
And anybody wanna second it?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
All right, perfect. All right, did everybody have a chance to review the July 22nd meeting notes?
yes.
Only what I had written up. I don't, Ernie, if you added anything, I didn't review anything you may have added.
I think we sent them out. Did everybody get
Okay.
them?
You set them up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
If we, let's see, we have everybody here who was at that meeting. We had, let's see, Larry, Andy, John, Mike, Ernie,
the,
you were there,
organization
Tammy.
and,
Yes, I was there.
I don't know why it's not
Was
on
that, was that attached to the meeting agenda, or did it come out?
here. I don't
Was
exactly
expected
remember when
of
I sent them out, to be quite honest with you.
Efficiency Task Force Committee. Thank you. I did skim through them. If I missed a clerical error, maybe, but otherwise,
Yeah, and, we'll actually talk about minute writing anyways in a little while, but, if everybody didn't have time to look at them, we can table them for the next meeting. It's up to you guys, or I can give you a copy if you wanna skim through them real quick.
I'm a fast reader.
Yeah,
Huh?
I can skim through it real quick too.
yeah, me too, yeah.
That might be easier.
Oh, that's the copy.
Yeah, I'll give it to you.
Ernie can make
And I
copies.
think I was only there remotely for part of the meeting, is that right?
I believe so.
I think Larry Brown was too, right?
I don't,
Because he was on the planning
I
board.
don't recall.
He was here at our very first meeting.
Yeah, I think Larry was on by phone.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Oops, sorry, get it.
We're just looking at the minutes. Did you have a chance to look at them, Bruce?
Yes.
Okay. We will have to change the bylaws, so I'll talk to Ernie about that, but, for the meeting. But, We're just reviewing the minutes in the room here, just so we can get them approved. Does anybody have any corrections to the July 22nd minutes?
No.
No.
Does anybody want to make a motion to approve the July 22nd minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Someone want a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm assuming aye. Okay. All right. The other thing I wanted to just review is we did present the bylaws to the selectmen and they approved them. So we will have to make a editorial change to section 5.1, and that's the notice of regular meetings. We'll have to change it to be the second Tuesday of every month. So, quick question.
Yes.
We have to make one minor editorial change to this.
Okay.
Just to let you know, we're gonna be meeting on
Thank you,
the second Tuesday of every month.
Okay. You got it?
Is that something that Julie's can do and just upload?
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's,
Cause I don't know if we've uploaded these yet.
So is there a new draft of the the bylaws, because I know we talked about the quorum requirements. Last meeting, adding zoning board bylaws on attendance and, striking the sentence 2, of number 5 on quorum requirements.
But, okay, I thought these were the ones that we had talked about and made changes to, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, these are those.
These are the changes right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we have the attendance one that we added.
Yeah, 3.7.
We have the quorum that we need 4 people. Is there something else that I'm missing, Mike?
No.
Okay, all right, I just want to make sure. So, Board of Selectmen approved them. So we should probably get them uploaded onto the website with that one addition, which I'm assuming edits don't have to go back to the Board of Selectmen every time.
Not that one, no. That's definitely it.
Okay. All right.
I can just do it.
Everybody good with that one?
Yes.
Okay. All right. The next thing that I wanted to just kind of go over, and again, I don't know if Mike, you were there. Obviously Ernie was there. I already gave John and Tammy a copy, but the attorney had a workshop. Were you there?
No.
And Bruce was there too.
What's that?
I was there too.
Yep. I have her handout. Did you want a copy? This is
Sure,
a
yeah.
copy?
Yeah, I've been known to violate.
So I just wanted to review a couple of the important points that she made. They're especially important for people who are new to committees, because the law can be confusing. And, you know, some people interpret them different ways, but we obviously had the attorney there and we had discussions and questions. So it was a very good session. But just to focus on email, because that seems to be the biggest area of confusion. So I just want to say, we can communicate by email, but we cannot make it decisions by email. No decisions whatsoever, okay? No discussion back and,
Karen?
yeah,
Karen, can I add to that?
yes,
You know, as a town planner and working in 2 towns, really what that means is you just can't have a discussion about anything where there's a quorum of your committee members. So if somebody sends something out and then somebody says, hey, I'm just wondering about this, and that person hits reply to all, that's an illegal electronic meeting.
Right.
It's not decisions, it's discussion, and it really is about never hitting reply to all when you're a committee member. You might be able to discuss something with one of the other committee members or with the chair, but you can't start a discussion with hitting reply to all. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
on our first meeting, I had mentioned that, and Ernie, because of the COVID-19 thing going on, not being able to meet, and email probably being our only reference to communicating with each other, I had asked that meeting if we could do it through email, and I was corrected by Ernie here, that would still violate the 91A law.
yeah. What she said is allowed is to set scheduled dates on meetings. You can send information out to the committee, okay, but there's no,
Reply.
to Bruce, no reply, okay?
On all.
And I have a-
Individual can reply,
Yeah,
but not all.
and when I'm reviewing, I took the notes as like a committee,
Yeah.
you know, because I have it bolded and everything, no feedback, none, to the group. And it says all above only if quorum, but don't suggest even between 2 people. That was her opinion. But, okay to send out draft minutes and get feedback directly to the person who sent out, you know. But you just get the feedback and you bring the feedback to the meeting. and, to the next meeting. And, you know, there was a lot of questions, especially by people taking minutes, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But basically, you can send out the draft minutes, Tammy. You can send it out to the committee, okay? They can review it. 2 people from different boards, it's okay to talk. 93A or 91A does not apply if you have one person from one committee and one person from another committee. So in other words, I could have a discussion with Dennis Woods, which is on my radar, I just haven't gotten around to it. That's okay. So, and that one kind of pertains to conservation. All right.
Is that the elected or the not elected? Is that the people that have been picked, or is it everybody in that group? Right? It's townspeople, Ernie, all of us. It's everyone controlled by that, correct?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
All committees
all
and boards are
committee.
controlled by that.
Yeah, anyone touching the committee and the committee. Yeah.
right, all right. There was a discussion only because the Conservation Committee does a lot of letters to outside entities. You're allowed to give approval to a committee member to do a letter on their own and send it out. So if something is going to be sent out to an external or to a resident, if you have a letter, it's okay for the committee to decide, you know, John, we approve you doing that letter and sending it out. So that's acceptable. All right. We talked about going into non-public. That one's a little confusing. Ernie might do a better job than that, but at that one. But I also wanted to get into, there was a lot of discussion about minutes. There's a lot of committees that go into way too much detail. And the attorney was, you know, basically she said, you don't have to give the entire verbatim discussion. The important things is just putting in what you talked about and what the decision was. Anything more, it's really extra stuff that, you know, could, you know, just, it's not really needed, but according to the law. Is that how you understood it, Ernie?
Yeah, I mean, in some instances, it's better to have detail, like, you know, Bruce would tell you probably planning board, DBA, those kinds of meetings, there's specific criteria to hit. Something like this, subject matter, decision made, you know, no problem at all. So.
Yep. That's all I had. Did you want to add anything, Bruce or Ernie or Mike? You've had plenty of experience on committees.
Nope, that seems about right.
Bruce, did you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I think you covered it all.
Okay. All right. So, anyways, it was a good session. I would suggest people, if there's another one, that you attend. It was really, she was very, very good. So then next thing I wanted to talk about is the mission statements. What I did is I sent out, and I don't know if everybody got it and has it, is I just basically copied and pasted everybody's individual. Did you see this? Did you want to see it?
Yeah. Thank you.
Read it real quick and then you can come back and I can.
How many copies?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that would be great.
That'd be great. I just kind of put everybody's on it, and that way you can either speak to it on your own or I can just read it, whatever you're more comfortable doing.
My
the-
apologies to the committee. I've been just extremely busy this last month and a half. It's
Well,
been
you're
crazy.
retired now.
That's, yeah, right. I can't, I'm thinking about going back to work so I can relax.
I don't know what I'm gonna do next year, but I'll have to give you a call.
Right, yeah.
But, so what I wanted to do was give everybody a voice so that we could all kind of build a common mission that we could all, you know, really enjoy owning and be enthusiastic about it. So,
Thank you, Randy.
it might, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I am not good at this, all right?
Yeah, no,
So-
neither am I, believe me.
Okay, so
I'm better
I
off at
struggled
home a
with
lot of
this.
times. but,
I
but
struggled.
I'm trying.
Isn't that what
I
you're on
struggled
Google
with
for?
It seems really hard. Like I wrote mine, and then
It is
I read
hard.
others, and then I thought, you know, well, is it financial? Is it people and process? What is it that we can do to make a difference? And that's what the mission statement has to point to that. And like I looked at mine and go, well, I'm winded now. I'm like, I was too long. And I don't know, it's just, you know, it is difficult, it is important.
Yep.
And I read them through and like, you know, saying I just, I'm open to all ideas. It's just, it is, I wrote one and I look at all of them and any of them could be good, but the point is, it has to be what we're doing. What can we change? Can we change the tax base in town from this room? Can we increase revenue from this room? Can we reduce,
You can't change anything,
Cost.
you can make recommendations, but you can't change anything.
understand?
Yeah.
Can we make recommendations that are gonna make a difference from this room to change, to you know, to the tax base and stuff, and then the one thing, you know, houses are turning over. I tell you, a house goes for sale and it flips right now pretty fast.
Yeah. They're
and-
sold
and-
before they're built.
Yeah, and so then I watch that happen, and I mentioned, and I think we're good to talk because we have a meeting. You know, I watch that happen, and we look at the cost that we're applying to that project, and I believe it's a set fee. Maybe Bruce could speak to that. I never did hear back from Brian Boyer, but if we're only charging $35, $50, and I watch a guy renovate a whole house and turn a garage into a 2-bedroom upstairs, that in any town in Maine, and I look some of the towns around us, some of them do square footage, they're getting 35 cents, 45 cents a square foot. And if I demo a property, I'm supposed to pull a permit and pay a fee. And then I'm into construction now, and I'm paying 35 to 45 cents for every square foot I touch in a house. It's a good revenue stream. So it's things that would make a difference. And those people already have the money. They're buying these houses. It's a fee, unfortunately, but it's not a tax. I don't know what, but what else do you change? Like we can't look at the personnel of the town and say, oh, you know, you'd be better off with one less guy doing this and two less doing that. I don't know what else.
But to that point, right? I mean, the mission statement should, in my opinion, right, shouldn't be granular into that level of detail.
Yeah.
It's like our mission statement is what impact do we want to try and have to the town, you know, at a very high level.
Yes.
And then we'll get into,
Yeah.
okay, in order to accomplish our mission, maybe
would
we
be
should
impact?
focus on, you know, tax base, or maybe we should take a look at salaries, you know? How are our salaries compared to other towns? You know, the one thing that is we're gonna struggle with, I struggle with, all right, is nothing should be off the table for this committee. There might be some areas that are very sensitive, but I personally don't believe that doesn't mean they shouldn't be at least brought up and talked about. But from a mission statement perspective, I think it should try and be at a very high level. And then we say, okay, what are the individual items or areas
Yeah.
that we can focus on to support our mission?
So first of all, it's laid out right in the bylaws, when you look under, charge of the tax bill. When you get down to 2.1, broadening and diversifying the tax base, businesses and industries, retention and attraction. 2, increasing revenue streams from outside sources. 3, 2.3, operational efficiency created by identifying redundancies, areas of possible collaboration between towns and the school, and identifying all collaborative regional opportunities. Important 2.4, projects that will achieve savings and improve municipal efficiencies through shared services, cooperative agreements, consolidations and resolutions, and redundant fractions, agencies and jurisdictions. And I mean, it's a mouthful, that kinda gives us
No, you're right.
a plateau to go
Yeah.
off of
Yep.
right now.
Right. I mean, I'd still like to review the individual ones, just so,
Yeah, no,
you know,
yeah.
but yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good guideline to use, but,
Yeah, I mean, maybe we can take the 4 that we have, kinda
mush it.
mush it into number
I
2.
did, I just circled like the second one, if you look at his first sentence, our charge, or his or her.
Yep.
I have no idea. Our charge is to research and recommend standards for town government and pursue the best practices. When you were reading, I was trying to find a sentence that kinda fitted what you were, you know.
Yep.
And you look at that, that is more, you know, that's closer.
Yep.
I get too detailed rather than, you know, starting to list it
And
now,
which was
it's a
that,
granular,
where you,
like,
where you
yeah.
at on that?
I think mine's the third one, and I'm more.
No, this is on the, we
Mission
had
statements.
the
Oh, your
individual.
mission, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a more granular thought, whereas
Yeah.
that statement's more broad to what Karen said.
Yeah.
You know, of course, we're gonna support unique and rural character. That's not our.
Yeah, the last really wordy one was mine, okay, I'll take ownership to that
I'm not, okay.
paragraph that was put there, but, I mean, I see it, I mean, you could open up this committee to a ton of stuff, and you'll never accomplish anything.
Right.
Right.
So, you know, because you've got on one side, you've got expenses. A lot of people in town are upset about the amount of money we're spending. On the other side, it's how do we increase our tax revenue? It's, you know, it's like, you know, there's so much out there. How do we come up with a mission statement that covers everything, but then how do we break it down so that we're not trying to solve all the problems of the world? That's what that's what I struggle with.
Honestly, I mean, if you tackle 1 or 2 of these, I think you're probably doing great, because like you said, there's just so much, you could go in so many different directions.
You could go in 50 million
Right.
different directions.
Yeah.
So I think you
You
really
know,
need to
it's-
focus on where we think we can get the most bang for our buck.
You use the word impact, you know, and that's important, where we
Yes.
have impact, and then,
Yep.
and then recommendations, where we can make recommendations that are gonna impact what? And that's the last part, right? I mean, it's, you're making recommendations that are gonna impact.
I think it's an important time to talk about taxes. This is an important time to actually pay attention to the Board of Selectmen, all the department heads, and the budget committee right now. Because I think it's gonna be
It's gonna be a show.
a corral. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right now they're.
Well, how much freedom do we have?
I mean, we could, nothing.
Well, because my question is, it's so quiet. Where's the budget? 2 months ago, I'm watching the chief say he's got a budget ready to go to the board, and then the board someone said something about maybe we should be asking for the thing, getting them, and now it's all gone quiet again, and we're just getting closer to the date. So
This happens every single year.
I know,
Happens
blows my
every
mind.
single year.
maybe that's in there. You know, what is there something? There's the recommendation, you know, it's gotta come from a strong point saying, guys, that's A, it looks bad, B, it's not efficient, you know, and C, there's no reason, I run a company. I can tell you next year what I'm gonna spend.
Yep.
If you run a department, you know what you're spending next year, you know what you need, let's be honest, put numbers on the table and crunch.
Yeah.
But, okay.
I mean, I think Humphrey and the budget committee are doing a fantastic job trying. You know, they really are, and they're trying to get the budgets so that they can get them out to the public sooner, so that the public can actually review the budget proposals.
Is there a way
you
to
know,
force their hand to, is there some you know, to say, okay, here's the date, you know.
Well, they have given
Yeah.
dates.
So, yeah, so the select board, you know, you had one resignation and you had a new person appointed, so you had two relatively new people on the board. So the selectmen decided that they wanted to get presentations from all the departments. And then,
Full
but
budget
within-
review, yeah.
But within a time frame still, I mean, people are, there's supposed to be a joint meeting between the budget committee and the board of selectmen on the 19th, Saturday. We're still, you know, working out the details of that. So, you know, you've got a couple of boards that are working hard to get this done, and the fact of the matter is, the board, is meeting tomorrow night, the select board, to go through and finalize its budget, because the goal of both of those boards, is to get down to the default budget, which is, you know, what, I mean, they both stated that. It's been pretty clear, I think, over the last even decade, how many default budgets you've received, and that people want taxes cut. So that's really what's happening. Tomorrow night, will be the night when the board of selectmen makes their final decision. That will all be sent out, to select board members, department heads, the, budget committee, and then that meeting will take place, Saturday the 19th.
So have the department heads already presented their budgets to the board?
Yes, and they're, all of them but the last one, are posted on the selectmen's minutes page,
Okay.
with all of the PowerPoint presentations.
Oh, they are?
Yep, so,
And what are the dates then? What is, the budget starts when? We're
Well,
approving a budget for January 1?
no, actually, well, it is the January 1, but you don't actually approve it until March.
Right.
So, but the budget has to be completed and ready, well, for public hearings to take place, those usually happen, toward the end of January, beginning of February. So, you know, we've got the budget going pretty early.
Is every year its own event for budgeting? It just,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I think once we get through the rough patch here, hopefully, things will smooth out, people will know, you know, where the money is, what's being spent, and people will understand what it is they want more, because I think, you know, the budget's gonna be so lean, it will be lean this year no matter what. And once you get it down to the default budget level at this point, after so many years of default budgets, it's gonna be. But yeah, so that's what's happening with the budget, and, I mean, it's, really from the original schedule that, people were talking about, we're about a week and a half behind that.
It's just, yeah. So it's
Which
long.
really isn't that bad.
No, with the
It's been-
obstacles you could have.
It's been a lot later in past years.
Yeah.
Right, so, I think everybody's working hard and they're doing
Yeah.
a good job.
Which is great, but, and I guess that's why I was saying, is it consistent or is it always its own thing? Because is there any way to bring consistency to it?
And I think Humphrey's trying to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, the other problem is you have changes on the committee from one year to the next
Mhm.
sometimes too. You know, like any other committee.
So then it's
So-
not really a place we can address anything and help out.
Well, I mean,
Again, recommendations for what our committee is based on, efficiencies.
Right.
You know, do we need a police cruiser every single year? Just to,
Yeah.
As an
no, I know.
example,
Yeah,
just an
absolutely.
example.
yeah, just an example, you
Yeah,
know?
I
as
mean-
an example, yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I know of
Yeah,
a lot of
absolutely.
things that are in that budget that, you know, my friends who are not whatever, I mean, they're just people who live here, they object to, you know, and it's, you know, who's in a position to ask the tough questions?
You know, I wanted to mention this now, as you know, I'm on the budget committee, and one of the, and I was a selectman for a while, and one of the things that was always attempted was try and get the public input, try and get them to mingle with the board of selectmen and or the budget committee, and it has not always been very successful. We're working on ways now, we're thinking about, here's an example, where, to get input from the people. When you run for an office, a famous place to run your candidacy is the
Transfer
Is it
station.
dump?
the dump, yeah. Yeah, I still call it that myself. And you'd always see candidates down there, holding their signs. And it's a great place, 'cause you get there between, you know, you can do there Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Monday.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a great place to get to meet people. We're thinking about having a handout,
Yep.
ready for them, so that they can read and we can get input from the public, here, the Milton people here in Milton. I mean, it's their money, so.
Right.
Yep. That's a
Yep.
great idea.
Yeah, and you know, like I said, the Humphrey and the budget committee, so the entire committee, I mean, they're really pulling out all the stops this year.
Yep.
You know, just listening to some of the ideas of, you know, having sessions down at Dunkin' Donuts, and
Right,
you know, they're really trying to force feedback from the public.
right, yeah.
You know, because it doesn't, and we all know, so, yes. 6:42, Claudine has arrived. No, I'm not, that's, Bruce, just let us know when you need to, bump off.
Well, I was hoping that we'd get to your agenda item 8, discussion, before I had to go, but,
Yeah.
I'm not sure that, you're getting any closer to developing the mission statement yet.
No, and we can certainly review the surveys, but we can also review them, you know, in the next, meeting as well. We don't need to make any major decisions tonight because there's a lot there, so.
So it sounds like we're getting closer to doing the fourth Tuesday.
Yes. The look on your
'Cause it's-
face.
Well, it's a.
Hey,
you
don't
know,
cry.
A whole month goes by, you know.
Oh, I agree, and that's why I'm an advocate for,
Yeah.
just ask the people on Casey Road that didn't
Yeah.
like me.
Yeah.
So,
I have a question about the mission statement.
Ye-
Has anybody done any research to see if there are similar committees or task forces in other towns in New Hampshire, and whether they've developed mission statements so that we can compare what they have, and then if there are any, we could look at them and see if what they have is close to what we want, and then try and change it to fit Milton's paradigm.
So I'd be willing to make those calls and do the footwork.
okay,
To see if they have anything similar to ours and bring it back to the committee.
okay. No, that would be great.
That would be great.
You know,
Thank you.
because, you know, like I said in the very first meeting, to me, the mission statement is critical, but it's also one of the most difficult things to come up with, you know, as a group of people. So I wanna make sure that we spend the appropriate time, you know, on the mission statement, so, you know, certainly we can do that. Did you want to, so, do you wanna table, does someone wanna make a motion to table final discussion on the mission statement?
Well, it's not final, so I don't think we really need a
Okay.
vote on it,
You're better at this than I am,
so,
you know,
I said, and you know what, it might be a good idea if we, correct me if I'm wrong, like I said, I'd be gladly to do the footwork, to talk to other towns about they have a task force, what ideas they have. Maybe delegate for volunteers to do other tasks as well.
Mhm.
That way, we're not all doing the same thing.
right, yeah, oh, absolutely,
And we can bring it back to the dinner table and.
yep. Yep. Okay. So we will continue, I guess, the discussion of the mission statement in the next meeting, whatever we decide the next meeting will be. So, So then I wanted to have a conversation about the survey. And I know you have to leave pretty soon, Bruce, so did you want to give your input and then maybe we can, continue the discussion after you've,
Sure.
okay,
Sure. One of the things that I did do was I had a face-to-face discussion with Dennis Wood from the Milton Economic Development Committee, and they, when COVID hit, they were on the cusp of approving the survey as it sat, and then this committee, I believe, tasked me with coming up with additional questions that we may be able to use, to parse some data from. And I did that, and then I sent it to him, asking him if he had a problem with, melding the two really surveys together, and he said he really didn't have an issue with that. So I think that's an important thing to know. Really, in the end, what needs to be discussed, and you can do this because I do have to start the next meeting. What really needs to be discussed is whether the questions that are in the survey are on point and will get you useful information that we could use. Obviously, some of those questions really are slanted towards two things. One, economic development questions, and two, some of them are slanted towards figuring out what the citizens believe is important for the town to do with regard to ordinances and regulations, specifically land use regulations. So you look at that, and then there are questions I believe for how do you think government is working, and I think that's the useful information that we can get from sending this survey out. So it will serve several purposes. If you believe that's true, then the next step is to see if there are any other questions that you think could be added. The caveat here is that the longer the survey is, the fewer people will take it. So we try to keep the survey down to as few questions as you can. And with that, I'll let you guys discuss it. I know you've got copies of it, and I appreciate being able to speak with you all.
okay, yep. All right, we'll chat and then we'll continue the conversation in the next meeting. So, thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
At the last meeting, and I guess I want to mention it again. So you go down to each of the questions.
Which survey are you looking at, the Economic Committee or Bruce's?
The economic development.
Okay,
So, it's a great survey. But you could go on for hours discussing each one of these because you could have anybody pick out education, okay? You could fill this room with school people and have a discussion on it.
yep,
So I think what I had mentioned was instead of picking just one of these, numbering the most important, one from like 5
Yep.
or 6,
Mhm.
would be that would give you a better idea. It'd be almost like an election, really.
yep,
If you had 50 people who said what is the town's greatest asset, and they said national habitat, that would give us an area to focus on.
yep. 'Cause we did a similar concept when we did the survey for the Casey Road.
Right, remember that, yep.
We had people number, so you had to, you had whatever it was, how many items, and you had to, put a number next to each one. What is your number one? What's your number two?
Correct, yeah.
Type of thing.
Yeah.
And, it was actually pretty enlightening that, people really wanted to maintain, natural resources.
Yep.
And it was like,
Yep.
oh,
I'm
okay.
surprised how many people, right.
Right.
Mhm.
It was. So, yep. The other thing that I need to do is to reach out to Dennis. I had talked to him back when we met with the attorney, to invite him or some of the people from the Economic Committee to one of our meetings or vice versa to work together on the survey.
So, in the meantime, can we make a recommendation?
Yeah.
To be, I guess, our first recommendation to the Economic Development Committee on our posted idea of numbering
Yep.
these.
Yep. And that, are you saying for all questions?
For the entire, yes, the entire survey.
Yep.
And I guess, you know what, I'll even volunteer to write the letter, and we can have it, if we're gonna do it on the 4th or the next meeting, next month, for everybody to review before we send it out.
Yep.
Okay.
I did want to go down because I didn't understand some of these questions, so, you
Yeah,
know,
go ahead.
so the first one was, when it comes to growth and development, what is the town's greatest challenges? And they have providing adequate job opportunities, suitable range of housing options, natural resources, small town character, adequate amenities, parks, education, etc., providing business incentives, assistance for development in commercial and industrial zoning districts.
Which one are you on? Is it page 1, page 2?
I think it's the other survey.
Am I on
It's
page
this
1? This is the Economic Development Committee.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're on it. It's page 1.
Oh, it
Yeah,
is.
page 1,
Yep.
Greatest assets, you still on that one? Is that one here?
the very top one.
Town's greatest challenge.
Oh, okay. Yep, very good, thank you.
So does everybody feel like that covers everything, or are there other items that people think are important to ask for that particular question? I mean, I think they covered a lot, but
I don't know, I think that covers quite a bit, actually.
almost too much. But you know, you gotta. It's a tough one. It really is.
I mean, I can't think of anything else that I would want to add. I think it covers the most important things that I think you would need to cover
Hmm.
as far as challenges.
They do have an other. Please specify.
Right.
That's a tough one, but it also might get you some of the answers that the question alone wouldn't get you. You know, when you give people an ability to, you know,
Maybe think of something that someone else hasn't thought of.
right. Everybody like that question as is, or
I'm fine with it as is.
Yes.
what is the town's greatest asset? Education, natural habitat, affordable housing, recreational opportunities, sense of community and heritage, location off the turnpike with exits.
I think they probably left out one important one, which is one that it's self-supporting, which is recreation. You know, we offer, you know, for residents, we have the beach, the ballpark, 2 ballparks. We have, the playground, and there are all kinds of functions going on all the time with recreation. I think recreation, should have been added to that one.
Well, yeah, and we
And
have the farm museum, we have, you know,
Right,
the
right.
walking trails now,
Right, yeah,
you know,
Yeah.
we've got the Mackenzies, you know,
and that's really what NH is all about, New Hampshire.
right. Oh, absolutely. So,
So we should write that, please, another specify, right?
Well, we do have recreational opportunities listed. Were you thinking something other than that?
Yeah, I guess expanding on it, maybe opportunities, but maybe, yeah, I guess that you're asking questions. It's a question, you're asking 2 questions, but that one.
And again, see, this is one where I think the numbering system, like 1 to however many, would be very helpful, because this is saying choose one, but not everyone's going to have the same
oh, absolutely.
opinion.
Right, yeah.
No, absolutely. So, existing employers.
You mean like little businesses in town, is that what you mean by
I'm
that? Like
assuming.
Yeah, like maybe the boat
Electric,
shop,
yeah.
Index Packaging.
Mackenzie's Farm.
Mackenzie's, yeah.
I mean, I might say employment opportunities,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, I think that probably is
But-
better.
Yeah,
I like employment opportunities better.
yeah.
okay. The next question is, of the existing and potential master plan chapters, which one do you believe requires the greatest focus? I personally, well, no, let me put it out to the committee first. Thoughts on that? I have my thoughts, but let me just, thoughts on that. You can chime in too, Ernie.
I mean, transportation, roads, we're not talking buses, we're just talking roads.
And utilities, what would utilities cover?
What's that?
What would utilities cover? As to transportation and utilities, what would they cover?
Yeah, I'm just curious, right, cause transportation, the only thing I can think of is roads, we don't have any others. And then utilities, right? That
We
kinda
have- we
gets
have
into
private-
Larry would say you want a 5G community, and he's right, whatever that means, I don't know, but we should have a community that's so easy to work from your home, you'd never wanna leave it.
Yeah.
Your computer should be so fast that it should spin
Right.
off its desk,
Yeah.
and then we'll be all
Just
set.
let the COVID take another jump to the next level, we'll all be staying home anyway, so. Cause we have, private companies that have buses going through here. Community Partners is one, they have an office downtown now. There used to be, Community Partners used to have a public transportation bus that used to go through it, but that has stopped
Yeah.
since then.
I mean, my thought in an effort to try and make the survey a little bit shorter was to eliminate this one. Only because if you ask 10 residents, have you seen or even know what the master plan is?
Mhm.
You're gonna get 9.5 of them to say, I have no idea what you're talking about.
You'll be in the minus.
Okay? So I didn't, for as far as real estate, I didn't think this one needed any
Yeah.
real estate on the survey,
Well,
but,
the question before that was affordable housing, so there's real estate up there.
Mhm.
you know,
Yeah,
so, but that was just my thought.
I'm not opposed to that.
Your thoughts, John?
We need someone to
Claudine.
come in and build really expensive housing so we can tax them and pay for our school. What do you mean? We want unaffordable housing.
You need to expand the lake.
Yeah.
Right, I was just gonna say, put up a few more camps, that's all, that's right, get enough taxes up.
With no kids, though.
Right, yeah.
That's the requirement, though. No kids. But, does everybody agree
Oh,
that,
there's another one on the next page to that, community facility, police, fire.
yeah,
public
that was
health.
part of that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
part of that question.
I didn't even know they were in the master plan, but,
Oh, yeah.
What is the master plan? Is that something else?
Every town has to have a master plan.
Right, but do people even know about it?
No.
no. But there's committees that have spent countless hours in,
It's
'Cause it-
usually always the planning board that's doing that.
and conservation, we
Yeah.
spent 2 years. Cause you're required by law to update your master plan every 10 years.
And how many of the public were at your meetings,
That would be 0.
right?
But I mean, we did an awful lot of work on that. So, but it also in defense of the master plan, it is also the Bible kind of that guides a lot of the committees. So, you know, it would be nice if the public would read it because it is kind of the Bible that we use
It
when
has
we
to
look
be,
at,
I mean,
huh?
You just can't get rid of it, it has to be.
Right.
Right,
Is this on the website where people?
it is.
Oh,
Is
okay.
it on the planning board one or?
Planning board.
It's on the planning board. It's a rather lengthy document, but
It's under documents or such, something like
I don't know. But there's a lot to it. It's you know what we want Milton to be. So, all right. So everybody agrees that that question could be up for possible elimination in order to kind of squeeze down a little bit of the questions. The next one: what type of development is most needed? Increased commercial use in the villages. I'm assuming that's Milton Mills. I don't know.
Yeah, Milton.
Okay, I might change that to Milton Mills because I didn't know what the villages was. I assumed, but
Right, just say in Milton and Milton Mills.
more housing uses in the villages. I don't know if Milton Mills folks would like that, but
I think that would depend on what you mean by housing uses.
Yeah, what is that?
Yeah.
and then that's I had question marks. I have question marks
We're
Yeah,
talking
on
home
this one. It's because
businesses
I don't
now.
understand the question.
Right.
If I don't understand the question,
Yeah. It's hard to answer it.
There's,
I might get a little, and I
Be
might
anything
stop
from,
doing the survey right then and
Could be
there.
anything from section 8 to 1,000 apartments in the land.
Yeah.
A big land scale, you know, it could be anything.
Yeah. Yeah. So that particular one I did not understand. I had question marks.
yeah.
Okay. Increased commercial industrial use on New Hampshire Route 75 and at exit 17, at exit 18.
Well, 17's been undeveloped for how, 2 years now?
Yeah, and there's how many empty buildings up for lease?
No, that mobile station.
Oh yeah.
It's been under construction 2 years.
I wanted the pockets must be deep to be able to
It
sit
must
on
have to
it.
go and earn some money and then put
Uh,
money into
I
it.
don't know.
I
So
don't know.
what is holding that up? Is it the state?
I don't know.
And okay.
Could be, I mean, the state, we still what they did to Mike down here.
Right, the last reading of any stories were that it was about the environment and requirements and more investment by them to, but why that isn't resolved and we haven't moved on, which leads to a thing about Milton, okay?
Right.
That businesses now, and I support all businesses and I just don't understand how this works, that they can do this, I wanna see them succeed, so I watch the guy up here with the plows and stuff, and you're paving it, you're putting the gate on it, it's looking better and better, but when are you gonna open?
When's the grand
When's the grand, you know,
Yeah.
and so that happens in Milton, and now you got the guy, I understand he's waiting for the bridge to open.
So it's really three
And so
potential
you
big
have all these
businesses,
things,
really,
but-
he's saying there's three potential big businesses. The one in 17, that mobile station, Mike, and you
Yeah.
get that,
Which are trying their butt off, but why is it so, I mean, maybe get to them and ask them why.
Why is it so hard?
Why is it so hard,
Right.
man? And are you gonna put it, like, and then the other is the mystery behind it. I should just pull over and talk to him. I don't know him. I know it's Mike. I know who he is. I'm loving watching it. I love what he's doing. And then I'm like reading things like, well, is he gonna put a Chinese restaurant back in there, or isn't he?
well,
And-
don't forget, one of the mistakes Milton has here is overlapping zoning. So you got the state overlapping town, and then you got one more. Oh yeah, the railroad. So everybody's got their feed going into
On
that,
him, yeah.
and they've been making him jump through hurdles.
And that's why if we could ever help, I mean, it may be too late for him, but even to hear what his thoughts were, like how could have there been, some resource of
Mhm.
help for you? Because it is frustrating as being here 20 years, watching businesses, kind of come down, then they don't open. That is a consistent thing that it takes a long time for someone to get from the point of
It
taking
does.
a key to a building around here and turning it into a business.
Right.
Yeah, and that's tough, because they can afford to do it, but we can't afford to watch it.
The only ones that seem to exceed are residentials. People, buying houses, flipping them.
Sure.
Those are pretty fast
Yeah.
turnovers. The businesses, I mean, really, 3 huge businesses right now. And that building,
It's gorgeous.
it can be,
No.
but I see
No
3
parking.
businesses in there.
Mhm.
It's too big of a building just to be a Chinese restaurant. number
Yeah, no,
one.
he's definitely, I think the plan would be 3 or 4, well, he's got 5 mailboxes, so he's looking at 5 units.
Right, yeah, you've seen
Yeah.
all the meters, that's right too.
I wanna put a morning, breakfast place only on the end with the big tall ceiling, go in there and have window right down, I'm ready, but, you know, it's just, there must be a reason no one does it, right? Oh, wait.
Yeah.
But that is interesting, I just think it's a
Yeah.
really interesting struggle to why maybe can we incentivize, you know? how you
Well,
get
and it
them
might be a
open.
great topic for us to tackle because, you know, it really is something that's very important to get some tax base in here, but why is it so hard?
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, and your commercial is the one that's gonna build your tax revenue.
Right.
Residential is not. That'll go against, that's a negative drag on your tax revenue for the most part. So, but. All right, so, and then we have increased commercial or industrial uses in new industrial parks. So looking at this question as a whole,
I think the industrial park's full.
I was gonna say, is there any space, and where's the new industrial park? There isn't one, is there?
isn't there land up by exit 18?
There are,
That David Pay's place, are we talking about? David Pay's place?
But we only have one industrial park with infrastructure with a road.
Yeah,
At this
David Pay, I mean, I think he's had it surveyed, but he hasn't gone in front of the building, the planning board. There's a
Right.
change of use. So it
It
has to go in
seems
front
like
of the
that shouldn't
planning
even
board.
be in here, cause we don't have it unless someone can tell us where it is, we don't have a new industrial park to, or are they saying get one? Increase
I
it?
think that's what they're saying, get one.
Like if we're confused, people listening, take it seriously.
I found
Yeah,
this,
the
this,
keyword is increase.
Yeah.
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 I found it a little bit confusing, but I think I know what they're looking at is what kind of development are you looking for? Residential, commercial, if it's commercial, where? I mean, it's the whole,
With the building boom right now, there's a shortage of all of the above. You know, I mean, I've been in this business a long time, and, you know, I've worked for different contractors from time to time. First of all, they can't hire enough people to get these, they can't hire enough people to get them up fast enough, because they're already sold. They'd be apartments, townhouses. This town has a history, though, and it has been brought to boards before, like the planning board and zoning board, you know, to put up an apartment complex. No, they won't. This town is a bedroom town. It's always gonna be a bedroom town. Okay, you know, and time has proven that.
yep,
Not that I'm going that way. I'm just saying, it's just been my witness to this all these years.
oh yeah, and I would agree that the,
Well, you should
General
know
con-
conservation is a big advocate of just leaving land alone.
oh, and you know, to me, it all comes down to balance, right? You can't have too much of one thing and not enough of the other. It all comes down to balance, and it all comes down to choosing properties that are in a location that it makes sense to conserve them. You know,
Right.
we don't want to put a conservation easement in downtown.
And
right.
you have two sides of the argument to that. Number one is, well, we'll increase the tax base, we'll have more taxes coming in. But wait a minute, which means it'll put a strain on our schools,
Correct.
put a strain on our resources, like the highway department, the plowing, you know, put on all our resources. Hence, budget goes up, right, Ernie?
Absolutely. You know, and so that's why the general consensus is we really want to stick to having single family homes here. We don't want to we don't want Milton to become an apartment complex, you know,
Because
mecca.
area-wise, we can't do it anywhere. We're not a Rochester. Rochester is a much bigger area,
Right.
okay, and that's why they do better than we do, because they have a population to support that tax base.
Correct.
We have the lake.
Right.
And them poor souls,
Yeah.
they get hit pretty hard. I talked to a few people up there. There's one fellow, my God, he He said to me they had a $9,000 increase in 1 year.
Yep.
Yeah. I live across the street, so I'm friends with them all. And
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I say, oh, I won't tell you what mine is. They go, yours
No,
is.
$9,000 increase.
Right,
not
no,
what
I
we pay
know,
now.
yeah. No, I'm fine with mine, and I hear theirs and I choke, and I say that's
Oh,
why
you're
I
on the
live
main,
across.
you're in Lebanon?
I'm in the last house before Mighty Joe on Townhouse Road. So
Oh,
when you're
okay.
on Micah Terrace, you're looking at me.
Oh, okay, yeah,
So,
yeah.
you know, for what I get in town and what I pay, and I'm in Maine too with the business stuff I see, the taxes overall are equivalent to what we're doing. Do I think we could spend dollars better at the school, or can we crunch something somewhere? Sure, but then I look at what my neighbor's paying on the water, and I say, that's why I'm paying as little as I am, maybe, because it doesn't seem right. There seems to be quite, it's not to raise my own taxes, but totally, good
Not to
God.
beat anybody up, and that's something where I'm going with this, but, you know, the town budgets, what is it, right, it's
It's 4 million.
a quarter of what the overall budget is.
Right, oh, I know, we're in the wrong room, I question where I can make a difference,
Right.
because
Right,
I've
and that would
always
be
said.
that big building up on.
Yeah, we're allowed to speak about that, because we said we talk about efficiency
Yep.
too, well, the
Yeah.
efficiency there is, you know, we need houses. With houses, if a house on average gives us $5,000 of tax, that's great. What we don't need is, we can't, you know, we just got a school labor budget passed for the first time in like 3 years, and if you eliminate, you gotta look what you can afford and spend on, and they don't wanna hear it, but if you take the high school out of the equation, you could take this whole town building and put it in the high school, you could take this and develop the property to something.
Yeah, we've been
And you
down
could
that
take
road
those
before.
kids, and I know my ex-wife was part of a committee that looked at the whole grouping with Wakefield, but there's money to be saved, and the other part of it is, you know, there was a post about the playground, and the nails are up. Now, that playground was a beautiful playground, and the answer was the PTO's problem. No, it's not. It's the town's problem, and if you can't afford to fix the playground, then you gotta take a nut out. You take the high school out, and then you dump it into the elementary and the lower schools, and you make it the best it could ever be, so you can draw people here. And you build more houses that are nice and pay nice taxes.
Yeah, I've been to that meeting too.
So,
Cause you're right.
Getting back
that
to the
nut
survey, though.
is-
You,
Lot of-
when they held that meeting, you couldn't fit another person into that
Yeah,
cafeteria.
yes, yeah.
It was all school people, so.
so how can we ask a question to get people's opinion on what is important to them? So, you know,
Again, numbering system too.
Yeah, for this one, I think.
yep. So would the numbering system work on the, what type of development is most needed?
Yeah,
I think so, from these, yeah, you could choose what is most important to you.
yeah, I didn't know what you meant at first, but now you're saying number each one, you know, you,
One being the
surveyor, number of
One being the
importance
most
to you.
important,
Yeah,
and two being the
yeah,
next.
you're
Yeah.
right.
Okay. So everybody is okay with that particular question, as is?
Do you bring the wording to them though about villages, cause you're right,
And that's what I'm asking, yep,
I think you do, it should say,
excuse me.
you know, cause not everyone's sitting here focused like we are on it and come up with the answer, you're asking them to do the survey, so if it said Milton and Milton
That'd be a
Mills,
great task for you, to go to the Economic Development Committee meeting and ask them what they need.
I don't mind doing that, sure.
And can you also have them define housing uses, what that means?
Yeah, let me
Okay.
just write some notes, so villages to say Milton and Milton Mills.
And maybe someday allergies will go away.
What was the other one, I'm sorry? Uses,
Define what housing uses is, or what they mean by that?
yep. Right.
Excuse me. All right, so what type of housing is most needed? The only thing I might suggest on this, because, you know, we've given them other on every other question except for that one. You know,
Yep.
we need to give them an out, because what if there's people who say, we don't want any more housing?
Well, that's true.
Then they don't have to market.
So that's a good question. Do we make these all required or optional?
It's a good question.
Well, I think just using.
Because what, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Either other or none. You know, they don't think there's any type of new housing needed. But I agree that you should give them, I guess, that option.
Well, I noticed that this, on this particular question, they don't have other, please specify.
Right,
Yeah, that's what she was saying.
Yeah, if you put it in there, then it doesn't
not
allow them
listening
to say,
to
no housing,
Huh?
hate housing.
he's never listened to me. I'm kidding. You know, but, you know, that, when you're talking about numbering and priority,
Mm-hmm.
what if somebody wants to skip one? But those are the mechanics, I think that can come later,
Yeah.
but there's
How
a
does
lot
the
of
survey go
mechanical,
out? Does it go through the phone and,
and we haven't
Survey
even gotten to
Monkey
that
or-
point,
okay, yeah.
so. But, so do we recommend that they put a other, please specify in that question?
I like that.
Because there are people who might say, I'm happy with the way things are.
So you want me to, because I'm writing a letter, do you want me to add that in?
Yep. That would be great. Which of the following do you support enhancing? Trails and recreational activities, cultural events and entertainment, like the Winter Carnival, lake theme events, more events drawing on Milton's history and heritage. There's more that could be added to that.
yeah.
I just don't know what. It's almost like that question and the next one down could almost be combined,
Yes, I would
That's what I
agree.
was just thinking, they're all the same.
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
Same answer.
It almost, you could say almost like, what cultural activities do you support enhancing,
Mm-hmm.
you know? The only thing that you would have to add to that one is trails and recreational activities.
Yeah, I was thinking, what isn't there, right?
Because I think cultural events like the Winter Carnival falls under festivals and events.
Right, and the boats. It was a festival event.
Museums, I think, kind of.
Seinfeld, what was it, Festivus?
Festivus, yeah, yeah.
What do people think about just adding, kind of incorporating those two?
Yeah,
you
I like
said,
it.
Put trail and recreational on the other one and
Yeah.
get rid of the other question.
Maybe other,
And another, yeah.
Yep.
like dog park.
A dog park?
Ooh, yeah,
Ooh.
good one.
You weren't
See,
here when we.
there's one that wasn't there, there's.
I'm just, I think an other would be good.
I have
'cause
two
maybe there's
dogs,
some
you
of the
can think
things-
I think of it, but.
We actually had, in order to raise money for the easement on Casey Road, we actually had a winter dog walk.
Oh,
It was actually pretty successful. So,
see, I didn't know.
huh?
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it must have been, oh God, 5 years ago? 4 or 5 years ago?
You made a fortune in my neighborhood.
Huh?
You made a fortune in my neighborhood. There's nothing but dogs there.
I know, I saw
With
that.
5 dogs.
They bark a lot too, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Okay. What should be the town's top capital improvement priority? This is a very interesting question.
Boy, someone's all over that new industrial park. there it is again, new
Yep.
industrial park infrastructure. Where? Wonder where that is.
Road construction, repaving. So road construction, is that new road construction?
Yeah, road construction and paving are the same things.
Okay, Thank you.
Sidewalks, there's only, Dawson
Huh?
Street, Dawson Street, I think, is the only street, except for Mike now, that has a sidewalk, right? Or in front of, goes all the way, industrial, going all the way down through,
Right.
Dollar General now.
Right. There's nothing up near the school, there's one down the school, in front of the school, there's a
Yeah,
sidewalk.
a small one,
Yeah.
yeah. The school takes care of that.
PTO does.
Oh.
No.
water and sewer, parks, parking.
Well, that water and sewer, well, sewer is part of the town, but water isn't. Water's a separate entity altogether, and it's only who's on the district.
So,
Sewer's not same?
Sewer's down there, and that's part of the town.
Just a-
They present a budget
Yeah.
to the town.
And how's the water handled? I guess I never understood that. Then the water is what? Just
It's a water district, there's only a certain amount of people who are on the water district.
did you have a choice about being on it?
No,
You didn't.
no,
so they pay
a fee,
a fee
yes.
to be part of that district.
Yeah.
That supports the water treatment plant?
If you wanna
No, that's
call
a
it
sewer
that.
treatment plant?
That's a sewer treatment, that's
Okay.
the, yeah, but we don't really have a water, I don't know what they do up there, they just supply water, I don't know. They own that big tank on the hill, and it's all downhill from there.
Someone opens the spigot every once in a while. Okay. So this is a question that might need a little bit of discussion. Is that what I'm hearing? I think it's an important question.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the more important questions on this survey. But I think there's a lot more opportunities.
You might be able to combine like, the road construction, you could do like road maintenance / sidewalks and combine the first three.
Yeah, that's what, yeah.
Yep, that's a good idea. Yep.
Yeah, why separate them? It
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. How could road construction be more important than pavement, or pavement more than road construction? I think they go together. And parking's always been a problem
Yeah.
downtown.
Yep.
Yeah,
But there's a lot of other things that are in our capital improvement plan that don't even come close to what some of these things are. And, you know, one of the things that I know the planning board is working on, similar to the budget committee, is to get more public involvement on the capital improvement plan process. Because there's a ton of stuff in there that people might have different ideas on, you know. And the other thing too, the capital improvement plans are submitted by the various departments in the town. You know, what if
voted on by the
what
people.
if the citizens had a choice to say, what would I like to see on a capital improvement plan? You know, we again, they come up with the capital improvement plan, which is a fairly intensive process, but they come up with it. And
So
they
we're-
would love to have public input, but there's a lot of stuff that the public might want that's not included in that. But it's not their fault, it's because,
It's no one's fault, right?
Right.
It's no one's fault.
you know,
I mean, it's all voted on by the people.
Right.
And
Warrant
it has to
article.
go in front of the
Mhm.
people to
Yep.
be voted on.
right. What if you put the people, involve them in the process sooner so that they,
May not have many line items to vote on.
Well,
Cause you
they-
might get it more specific.
So now you got voting day, when it comes down to it. So people see a small picture, they wanna add this to the capital improvement. and that's all they see. If they wanted to see more, there's one easy way to do this, what we've been trying to do for years, to get the public involved, come to the meetings. Ask for the documents, ask for the plan. You know, the capital improvement plan. You know, it's a healthy document too.
Yep, it is. You know, and what people look at is the money.
The bottom,
You know,
yeah, the bottom
ultimately,
dollar.
You're right.
Ultimately, they
Yeah.
look at the
Yeah.
money, but you know, and I'll use, you know, Pat as an example. You know, he wanted to buy whatever it was, a new grader or something, and you know, I would have said no, you know, but he actually articulated for people why it made sense to buy one instead of renting it every year. And I read through it. I'm one of those, and a lot of people do. I read through the explanation. I'm like, okay, that makes sense. You know, and I wish we had more of that, where, you know, explain to me why it makes sense to have this major purchase. You know, if you just throw a number at me, chances are I'm going to say no. But if you took the time to articulate why that capital project is on that list, and you why you want $100,000 or $200,000, you know, I can make an educated, you know, decision. But if you just throw a number at me, chances are I'm going to vote no, even though it might make sense to put the money in. You know, that's one of the things I wish we could do better at. You know.
And I think a lot of that does get explained at the meetings, but if you can't force the people to go to the meetings,
Right.
you know, I don't know how you get people more involved. You can't tie them up and bring them to the meeting.
Pancake breakfast.
It's maybe, I don't know.
And then you put the information up on the walls in their hands, you have a speaker, I don't know.
And then all of a sudden, we have a brand new fire station.
Yeah, another one?
You know how to. Okay, so these are tough things. So,
You could have it at,
in my opinion,
But,
you could have it at the fire station, there's enough space.
but we had it at the old fire station, bought us a new fire station.
yeah. Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Karen.
No. I'm.
Speaking out of turn.
What's that?
I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize, Jeff.
No one is speaking out of turn. We all. I'm. So, would everybody agree that, you know, what should be the town's top capital improvement priority? That question could use some a little work.
Yes.
I don't know what it could use. I'm kind of speechless on that.
Was there something in the capital plan that you thought should be on here that isn't?
I mean, there's a lot of things. So, for example, like they're, and if you go look at the capital improvement plan, which I have, you know, they're looking for money
Mm-hmm.
to, I don't know whether it's put an addition on or something of the library up in Milton Mills. Is that a priority to the townspeople?
Right, it might be to some, and to some it's not gonna be.
Right. But, and it's a tough thing. It's really there's so much there. Yes, Mike.
You know, maybe, even a slight explanation to some of these answers too.
Yeah.
Like you read parks, like, why, do we need more parks? What are parks? What are you doing?
Is
Right.
the bridge part of the capital improvement plan?
No. That's
Already
a
say-
separate, it's a separate, account all by itself. Every year, she'll know this, every year,
I think it depends on which bridge we're talking about, maybe?
Yeah, there's.
no,
really
it's
Yeah.
it's one account for all bridges. Right now, every year that we've been asking for money to be put into this account for the new bridge road going into,
Mhm.
near you,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But we've been diligently careful because that one account for those bridges has to take care of 5 bridges in Milton.
Right, and the other bridge in Milton Mills is, that's in trouble.
Yeah, right, yeah, I think one of them, both of them are on the red flag
Yeah,
list.
we're down to one lane.
Yeah.
moving across.
Yeah,
I know there's a bridge on my road and I have no idea what it is, but it's on their top priority.
Yeah.
I don't know where it is, but,
right, yeah,
Instead, we're gonna build a bridge where we don't have one and don't need one.
but it begs, I think capital improvement priorities to me is almost a separate animal in itself than a survey.
Is the
I
town
got
barn
everybody
capital
thinking, I like
improvement?
that.
I'm just trying to get focus on it, like, so is the town barn capital
It's
improvement?
not on there.
No.
no,
It's
I don't
not
think
on
it is,
there,
is it,
right.
I don't think.
But
So
like
I
the-
think that's the trouble of the question, right, cause,
Yeah,
yeah.
so Public Works wants to build a new building.
Didn't the planning board just recommend $50,000 for engineering for DPW building?
I don't know,
Okay.
that's why I was asking.
Yeah, and so
I don't
that-
think it's in the capital improvement plan though. I don't think that they've been setting money aside for a new building for it.
No, I think this might be the first year that they've done it in a while.
Right.
Yeah, so, you know, I was just looking at that, and I mean, I can actually go print out the page if you wanna look at it. But it's got the recommendation, I think they actually, the planning board recommending funding the top 10 projects, as opposed to, there were a whole bunch, they ranked them all.
Yeah,
And then, but I have that, and one of them is, $50,000 for engineering costs, I think. One of them, I think, was $25,000 for the bridge fund.
right, yeah,
And then there were, you know, several other ones, I think police was looking for some money for, to replace, tasers and, I can't
this is
remember.
brand new.
What's that?
Anyway,
Well,
I
it's
think
like-
that would be great information for us, really, cause we'd be going, you know. we
Oh
can
yeah,
spin
no,
our
I have
wheels
looked at it, I have
and-
looked at it, and that's where I,
spinning our wheels and, you know, say, we already know about that. Oh,
So I can go print that out for you. if you
That'd be
just wanna
great,
take it,
yeah.
This was-
yeah,
you know, and yeah, I mean, I think if there's a way that the public could get involved sooner, because a lot of times what happens is these have to go to a warrant article
Mm-hmm.
and people vote them down.
you know what, if we get the document, get the draft done, get the document done, I'm not volunteering to do stuff. I'm just saying, if we get this done, like we were talking about with the budget committee, going out there with information at the landfill,
Yep.
and we could do the same thing. We could hand these surveys out to people.
Right.
Where are we gonna
Once
get
the
them back?
survey
I
was-
guess how are we gonna get them back? What's the best way to?
Right, yeah, no, I ain't got the whole plan, but yeah,
Hey,
right, yeah. But now it's gone from here to them.
right,
Um,
you know,
Yeah.
and yeah. I mean, surveys are tough,
Mm-hmm.
unless,
because like, more than
Can't do
anything
anything
else,
in
it's
connection to
very
voting,
easy to
yeah.
turn somebody off
Yeah.
quickly.
Everyone comes to vote, well, you know, 1,600 people come to vote,
right,
so it's 1,600 touch
well,
points.
that'd be a good turnout.
Yeah,
usually-
1,600.
Yeah, choose 700 or 800.
900 is a
Yeah.
really good turnout.
You had almost
Well, that's what
800 for the primaries, right?
We're proposing to do the budget for the November 3rd elections, to have that packet available.
To
Oh,
pick
okay.
up, yeah.
Yes.
The survey,
Along with a date of when we can have a public meeting.
okay, so we don't have to worry about that, that's the.
For the
you guys
budget.
are-
Planning to do that for
Oh,
that was
okay.
our last discussion, that's
Okay.
the goal, and we're hoping to achieve
So,
that.
I'm gonna make a note of that now, okay?
Go right ahead.
Okay.
But, you know, that might be an opportunity, and once we have, I mean, there's a lot to be shared with the budget, but an opportunity to share on the survey, you know, whether we have this event, in December, you know, if we get the information out on November 3rd, and perhaps have a date in December, so that way people can have, if they have questions or whatever, but then, you know, maybe that's a time when you can have the survey, if it's available by then, to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I mean, it's another delay, but we do have a town election in March, which is a little ways off, but it gives time to kind of work on this and have that available. and I don't know if we can do a separate area for them to do that? Have a separate table for a survey?
It depends, you'd have to talk to the moderator.
Yeah.
It depends, you have to be so many feet away,
Well, and it doesn't have to be
you know.
in the gym, it doesn't have to be, it could be in the hallway,
Mhm.
you know, so that way it's something that if it's an easy survey to do within 10 questions, it might be something that, you know, with,
Right, please take this
volunteers.
survey, yeah,
can you help, you know,
Yep.
and maybe we can have information and a board or something so people know that there is a committee doing something and you have a say in it.
Mhm.
I think that's just the biggest problem that we have in this town is nobody knows about anything unless you investigate, and you gotta really dig deep on that website to find everything. I mean, I could spend hours on there and I still don't find everything, so. And I think I'm pretty fluent on searching things, but there are people that aren't.
Mhm.
And a phone's not gonna do it, you really need to have a computer to do it, and I don't know how many people really have that access, but I think that for voting, or maybe and you can have a survey available in town at the office where they can, when they're doing their work or transactions, they can pick up a survey, fill it out, or leave it, or whatever, but.
Mhm.
those are just
Season's
some
over now,
suggestions.
but to that point, Town Beach
Yeah.
at the gate would have been a
It's
great
not gonna
place
be over
to-
because from my understanding, it's been requested for it to stay open
Well, it never does.
in the winter.
Yeah, there must be a big movement happening.
No, I was told that it's supposed to reopen in December. And it's open till.
Well, it always does, right, they reopen the
Yeah.
gate so that snowmobilers can get in and out, yeah, but it'll be closed, only open on weekends where the temperature's above 80 degrees right now.
Okay,
Anyway, but that's, just suggestions, so.
oh, absolutely, and, you know, there's a ton to think about doing these surveys.
Yeah.
You know, there's the survey itself, there's the mechanics of the survey, and then there's execution. And then the big item is, okay, what are you gonna do with the feedback? You know,
Right, then you
so
gotta
there's-
digest it all.
You know, exactly.
Yeah.
So there's multiple phases of doing a survey. It's not just
Mhm.
throw a survey out there and, oh, we'll get a bunch of answers back
Yeah.
and we'll have all our answers. It's, there's really a lot of thought that needs to go into,
Mhm.
especially the execution. How do you get it out there? How do you get it returned? And once you get it returned, what do you then do with all this information? So, to me, if you can design a survey that someone can fill out in 10 minutes or less, you got a successful survey. Maybe 15 minutes, but people aren't going to spend much more than,
Yeah,
10
you're not gonna
minutes.
spend a half hour doing a survey.
no, you know, they're not going to have to Google what does this mean to answer a question.
Yeah.
They're just going to skip over the question. So, you know, when I'm looking at this, I'm looking at it as, if I read this question, what should be the town's top capital improvement priorities? I'm gonna sit there going, as a average citizen, I'm gonna go, what is a capital improvement priority? I don't even know what that means. I'm gonna skip over that question, because I don't understand what that means. You know, we'd have to explain what our capital improvement program is. So is that worthy of being on a, oh, thank you. Is that worthy of being on a survey? I don't know. Do you have a microscope? Well,
Yeah, I was
is that
Mike,
included?
you need your,
Oh,
magnifying
geez.
glass for that.
I'm trying to find them, they're in here somewhere, bifocal though.
No, I'm kidding, Ernie. I am kidding, Ernie. Not serious. So that's when I'm looking at these questions. That's what's going through my mind is, can someone answer this question in, you know, a minute, less than a minute?
And that's the focus for our whole meeting here.
Huh?
You're going up the right alley, that's the whole focus for our meeting right here,
You know.
efficiency, yeah.
Right.
Well, that is true. Well, but that's how I'm looking at these questions, and that's why I struggle with some of these. Is, will the average citizen understand it enough that they can actually answer the question in a minute or less. If not, I think they would skip it and move on to the next one. We'll take a moment for people to review the capital improvement plan.
And just so you, this is just the minutes from that meeting, the capital improvement plan is Mike had mentioned, as you know, it's pretty,
Yeah, I mean, it's a ton of work. And the discouraging part for them must be, they put in all this work, it goes to a warrant article, and it just gets,
If you take a picture with your phone, and you can blow it up and read it.
oh, can you?
Yeah.
I mean, I've looked at it, so. There's a lot on it, but
Where's the priority rank start, from where it says ranking in order and then under?
here, the next to the last column,
Yep, so
where it says
from,
ranking.
so from there now, oh, okay, yeah, in the top 10, yeah. But that school one is totally funded by a grant, right? So, wasn't there, is that school? That is school on there.
Yes, and that's money that, they put aside last year for that.
This is the town budget, right? No, this
Right,
is-
the planning board does consider CIP items, you know, for the entire.
For both sides,
Yeah.
okay. I'm sorry, but why is it in the top 10 then? It doesn't need to be funded by us, it's funded by a grant.
I wasn't
Okay.
part of that, but it's,
Because
I think
it's,
probably because it has to be done, it's a priority, that's what the priority is. And they happen, what they do is identify different sources of funding in here. Like if you see, if you get really close to the page, you can see that, let's see, some of them
initially submitted.
show, after, like Bridge Fund, 2026, Capital Reserve Fund. Let's see,
Yeah, yeah.
and then grant funds are identified for the new fire alarm system at the school. So you have other ones that are,
So that will never be a warrant article or anything.
well, at this point, that got, the money was set aside, I think last year at a special town meeting, school meeting.
I
right?
remember that,
Right.
right.
So, yeah, so I mean, I think that they're planning on spending it, right?
Well, they're gonna spend it, and it's all gonna get refunded to them. Well, 300,000, right? It was a grant.
Well, yeah, I think it was revenue that the state distributed to both towns and schools last year that was, for towns it was unanticipated, for schools, I guess it could
I get you, so it has to be here or it's never getting.
Right, but they got the money.
Yeah.
Right.
And I guess that's my I just look at it and go, okay, then why, they have the money, it's not something, just odd that, these are 10 things that we wanna do in town. Well, it's already solved, money's set aside and it's paid for. So, it seems like we should be on number 11 and it shouldn't be.
well, I think they need to get permission from the townspeople to spend it, right?
We did in that board, in the meeting a year ago, when we put it aside.
Yeah, I believe that, they did get approval to set that aside specifically for that, but for the other ones, for the town side, those go into specific warrant articles too.
What, that we vote on,
Right.
yeah.
Right. Right. All right, so that we're not here until midnight. So how do we want to, thoughts on how we want to deal with this one question? I mean, do we have recommendations? How do people feel about it?
I almost, and again, I don't really know what this new industrial park infrastructure is, but I think if you just had infrastructure in general, I mean, that may cover some of the road projects, the bridges that are listed on here as, you know, the top 10 priorities. Unless we define what this new industrial park is that someone's talking about.
Right. The other one
Oh, I
that,
get it. For parking, the next one, that's for parking, it's a bullet point. New industrial park infrastructure, that's what the parking's for. Right? See how it's got a little bullet there?
Okay, yep.
Yeah. Oh, parking,
Yeah.
new industrial park infrastructure for parking at the industrial park.
I don't know, I think that one needs to be defined a little better.
Yeah. And then here we are again at the village.
here we are, that village.
I think the other things that are missing, which I can't really, the little bit that I could read, it was like, what our, like, emergency facilities may need, whether it's the police department or the fire department or, the, buildings.
I mean,
I think it's limited, you know, by just listing it like this, maybe we need actually some other items added.
Well, there's on, page 1, the last question, if you flip the page, there's some potential to, under the master plan, it has the community facilities, police, fire, DPW, et cetera.
Right, but that wouldn't, would that be assumed under the capital improvement plan? Because isn't that where some of these can be expensed out as through the capital improvement?
Right.
Right. But that's not how it's worded on that one.
I mean, I think
I don't think.
we should have a separate question that says, asks people to prioritize what they feel are essential services. And, you know, I'm zoning in on, you know, do you feel we need the amount of equipment we have? You know, I think that's the one thing that I think a lot of people have differing opinions on is what is our essential, you know.
Yeah, so DPW could be separated from police and fire.
Right.
Because they already have, road construction, paving,
Right.
it's already in there, so that can be taken off there.
Right. You know, what do you feel is essential, you know, for the fire department? Or what do you feel is essential for the police department? What do you feel is essential for the DPW? You know, and does the transfer station fall underneath that? You know, because the transfer station, to me, doesn't get enough attention that it deserves. They really are a lifeline in this community, because if you don't have a transfer station, we're all in a whole lot of pain, but they do a whole heck of a lot, and
Otherwise, we'd have to have it trucked out.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think from a survey perspective, I think it might be easier for people to answer the question if you separate those three things out. But that's just me. Not easy doing surveys, is it?
Yeah, this is a tough one. This is a tough one, for sure.
So much falls under that,
Right.
so I think that's why it makes it so difficult.
I do. I really think the capital improvement is there's too much for a
Yeah.
Is
survey
there
question.
a capital improvement committee or anything like that, or? Is there
We were
anybody
supposed to
that
have
can-
one, weren't we?
last year there was an article, a warrant article on the warrant, that got defeated, so,
Oh, okay.
that allowed, or provided for the establishment of an independent CIP committee, so that the planning board didn't have to deal with it, because it does get time consuming for them. But that warrant article was defeated, so I think, they wanna try it again.
What-
Interesting to find out what the sole reasons for defeating that, cause
Yeah.
committees, they're not paying for it or anything.
Right.
Is it just the way maybe it was misunderstood or
That's what I
misinterpreted
think,
maybe?
yeah. In fact, I think it
somehow?
was the way it was conveyed to the people.
Yep.
Yeah, because I almost think that we really need a committee for the capital improvements, so somebody's,
That's a library altogether by
yeah, I
itself.
mean, that's a lot
Yeah.
of money,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of decisions to be made instead of just kind of letting it sit there.
Planning board's got enough to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think because it was defeated, I think that's sending a message that people don't really understand what it's about.
I'm wondering if there was a figure on there that made it throw off.
Or was it just part of an overall negative run?
I think it was-
Of course not.
I think people were afraid that you were going to build a committee that had too much power. You know, and that's when you say, how was it communicated? You know, again, what would the mission of that committee have been? Was that really communicated, you know?
We have to go back and look at the warrant article too, how was it
Yeah.
worded?
Right,
Did
you
it
know,
catch something?
and
To your point, you know, did they see it and, I don't know.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
might have read it
thinking
and been
that if
afraid of
they-
it.
Yeah, I'm thinking if there was that figure on there,
What?
you know, what was it, like $2 million, they were like, they probably
Yeah.
didn't read it the way that they should have, or maybe it was written in a way to explain that this is not costing anybody anything, it's just having a committee manage it.
correct. And to me, it's one of those, there should be a separate committee and it should have a long life on it.
That in itself is its own survey.
Correct.
I totally
I know,
agree
it
with
is.
you now, cause when you're looking at it, there's a lot to manage with that, that's a
Mhm.
whole other budget.
That's your future, but like, when you're at home, that's your future budget. Oh, I know in 5 years, I'm gonna need a new furnace. You know, I know I'm not gonna need a new water heater this year, which, you know, I got, whatever. You know, so you know that you have to build up this savings account in order to buy that new furnace or that new car. To me, it's an extremely important thing, but it's also a committee that can gather input from people on, you know, what are the priorities? I mean,
Like
we're
when-
spending our future money, we're trying to plan for things. What are the our true priorities, so we know what we really want to focus on, you know, 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah,
From now.
maybe the question is more about having a management committee or a committee to manage the capital improvement. You know, just kind
Yeah.
of get that out there to people, like, there's this money, that's our tax-paying money sitting there, and it needs to have proper oversight.
We don't have the money yet. I mean, we're asking the public
Yeah.
money now to buy this thing in the future,
Right.
and people are looking at the money and saying, no, I'm not giving you any more
Right.
money.
Right, 'cause we're already
Right.
voting for default budgets, so
Right.
we're not gonna vote for line items to increase
Right.
future, no matter how short-sighted that is.
But that committee could help, again, educate and articulate why a certain item is priority number 1, you know, versus priority number 3, and, you know, why does it make sense for the company, the town to spend this money, you know, so, I don't know. I hope they put it on the warrant article again, and I hope
What
that.
is it? It's a budget? Is it, I guess the capital improvement money, we're saying that, okay, out of the, whatever, $10,000 in tax money, we're going to put aside $5,000 of that
For a new truck or.
for a new truck, but we don't buy the truck,
Correct.
so the money just sits there.
Mhm.
Right, you're saving it up in increments,
Yeah.
as opposed to spiking the tax rate every, you know,
Right.
you
Right.
need to
That's the whole reason
Is
for
that
that.
public, is that number published somewhere, is that, what that amount is?
It's called a warrant article.
But there's lots of them, because over the years, I've voted on, up and down on tons of warrant articles.
Yeah, yeah.
And the bridge still isn't built, so how much does that fund out?
Well, I guess I can jump into there, why isn't it built yet?
Ooh, I
If
don't want
may.
the why it isn't built, I
Yeah,
just
of
wanna know
course.
where the money is, like, how does that work, so we
Okay,
set
so
aside.
every year, there was always a warrant article for a certain amount of money to go into the bridge fund. Now, the Board of Selectmen at the time had been working with DOT and the state of Maine. We're gonna talk about the one that needs, that's the one
Yeah,
that
yeah,
we're saving for,
simplest, yeah.
okay? So, with our side, it was never with Lebanon, by the way, it's the state of Maine.
Right, cause the Lebanon townspeople don't pay a thing, the city.
Well,
don't pay
the
for it.
last few years, they've been putting money aside for it,
Yeah.
to tell you the truth. I was a code officer over there, so I know that.
Yeah,
So, all we had to do was come up with a percentage, Milton,
right,
okay?
yeah.
And DOT would pick up. We had to come up with $750,000, cause it's 1.4 million for, I'm sorry, $1.4 million for the bridge. Split in two, 750,000 over there, 750, whatever
Yeah,
it was, and
yeah.
half of that.
And then we need
And
our
we-
town part,
Right, the town paid a percent, I think it was, I wanna say 20%.
That was 25, or they're gonna pay, I thought it was, is it 25,000?
Yes, yeah, like a percentage of that. I think, yeah,
And that was 25,000 last
Yeah.
time, yeah.
so we paid a percentage of that and the state picked up the rest of it. But we had to be ready to pull the trigger, money-wise, when the time came, cause DOT, they'll come around and if you're not ready,
right,
you
go
go
on to
from
the
the
next
top of the
project.
list
Yeah.
right down to the bottom of the list. And then we were dealing with the commissioner over in Maine. He had come to a meeting here. And that's where that money was coming from.
So again, these things are outside the budget that we've created, and, cause now we're asking for another $2,500 for the bridge, it's gonna go to the fund and
Yep.
sit there, and so the fund might have 30,000, but it sits there and waits for that project.
As far as I know, we've gone over that amount now. So we have, Milton has the bridge money available. It's right here, okay? Two other entities involved here. DOT, State of New Hampshire, and Maine. All these three have to come together. But we wanted to make sure that Milton, it wasn't gonna be upset by Milton's
Right.
non-available funds.
Which is a great reason to have it, and
Right.
a great use of.
Yeah.
I was just trying to understand the whole, I see it peripheral and I know what I can read, but it isn't as good as getting it,
First, from the horse's mouth,
firsthand and
right?
how it works,
Yeah,
yeah.
So here's the article, from last year for the independent budget committee, if you wanna hear how that was written.
Yes, please.
Oh, sorry, I just lost it here. Shall the town vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to establish an independent committee pursuant to RSA 674.5 to prepare and amend the recommended program of municipal capital improvement projects and to make budgetary recommendations to the Board of Selectmen. The committee, to be known as the Capital Improvement Program Committee, will have 5 voting members to be appointed by the Board of Selectmen and shall include at least 1 member of the planning board. And that's, it was defeated, 418 no, 345 yes.
But doesn't the Board of Selectmen have the authority to create a subcommittee?
Well,
Don't they?
statutorily, the planning board is the one who does the CIP. I believe that was, part of what was adopted years and years ago for here.
Yeah.
This is an alternate, sort of an alternative that is provided by statute, to, develop an independent one. So that was what, the planning board wanted to do last year, so the Board of Selectmen put it on the warrant.
Well, maybe, can the planning board have a subcommittee?
Yeah, but the problem is,
I
the
don't know.
subcommittee would be members of the planning board.
Right, I think it has to be different and separate members.
But,
Okay, anyway,
no,
that's a big one to,
I think the plan,
They can always put it back on, you know, try
the
it
planning
again.
board would have to go to the Board of Selectmen. The Board of Selectmen can then, authorize to have a subcommittee. I don't think the planning board can do that.
Okay. But if it still requires the same individuals, then it doesn't really help them.
No, it'd have to be a separate
A separate committee.
altogether, yeah.
So do we all agree that this is kind of like a bear onto itself?
Yes.
Okay. All right. What should be the top economic development priorities? Recreation and tourism, manufacturing, and my question would be manufacturing of what?
Yeah.
But that's just me. High-tech office buildings, service businesses, cottage and craft businesses, construction and development of new housing, construction and development of high-tech and office parks,
Where?
construction and development of retail and food, beverage services, restaurants. Thoughts?
I think there's too many choices in here.
High-tech offices, I can't see that.
What's that?
Yeah, I can't see high-tech offices. I mean, recreation tourism, that's what New Hampshire's all about.
Right.
And that's, we try to do that all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Manufacturing, you're right, what would we manufacture? Well, you know what? That's the industrial park does. They have people who make,
Manufacturing boats and
Mhm.
trailers and.
yeah. So
Okay.
there's manufacturing there already. Service businesses, yeah, it could be what? It could be a loan company, it could be an insurance company, it could be, jewelry store. Or, like somebody who like J&S, just J&S was a service.
Right.
Down there. No longer, but, and I think that's what they're trying to do, like heating oil service
Mhm.
or. So the construction and develop new housing, that leads down a road that always has a stop sign at the end of it. And they're talking, housing, that's a big word. We already talked about that earlier in this survey. Apartments, when you start talking about having a 10-unit apartment, it just doesn't fly.
Nope. Yeah,
Another office, but there's no, I don't think, like I said, I don't think there's any more spots left in that industrial park up there. So we'd have to find another spot, there would have to be another spot, and be a whole big thing to go to the planning board, blah, blah, blah. I think, really, the next is David Pay's place,
Yeah, I mean, we are so limited on where you could even develop anything.
right?
and the problem,
There's-
Exit 17?
There's,
there's no services there.
Well, again, you can't even open the mobile station,
Well,
so
there's no
how are you
services-
how you gonna put something else in?
There's no
Everything in the
services
state
at
road,
David
you can
Tayer's
Right.
place or anywhere else.
no, it's land available for housing is where I guess. what I was
Oh, we're
going
talking
with
about
this.
housing, not
Oh,
industrial
okay.
park, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you would only have private land that someone wants to sell,
Yeah,
but there's nothing open now.
Right.
yeah. And people are very selective about businesses coming in here. I
Mhm.
remember
Yes,
there
they
was a
are.
big to-do about a big dump that wanted to go in here at one time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
it was a
but-
big to-do,
Yeah.
It was a big to do, no,
Mhm.
I was here.
yeah.
But I mean, we also have to, and I'll put my conservation hat on a little bit.
Right,
We also have to understand that the pond, which is a man-made pond, so it's not natural. So it's not spring-fed like a regular lake, but that pays our bread and butter.
Mhm.
So we have to be extremely careful what type of business we put, not only, by that place, but, the only way that pond gets cleansed, I call it, is from all of these feeder brooks and streams that, you know, cleanse it out, and you know, that type. So, yeah, some people are, you know, hypersensitive to the type of businesses, but sometimes for a good reason. Excuse me, it's tough. But I think, you know, it's not a matter of being against development. It's that we have to be extremely careful, because we lose that pond,
Stressing the pond, stressing the school, stressing every, yeah.
you know.
That pond is I guess the best way to put it is the engine to this town.
Absolutely. And one mistake,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's gone. So
So I have a question. Instead of new construction, why aren't we trying to help the businesses get an uplift? I mean, I think
Revitalize?
that's the big, I'm
Yeah.
sorry?
revitalize.
Yeah, like why aren't we doing something to help the businesses, or ask them what is it that they need to do to put a facelift on their buildings? Cause that looks like junk when you come downtown,
One of the,
all the way from here to the end, you know, like what can we
you're
do?
talking about Mike's place, right?
I'm
The old
talking
warehouse.
about a lot of places,
Yeah.
like, there's just a lot, the apartments, they need some work done, from the outside all the way down to the little tavern, I mean, how can
That-
we help that?
Well, there's two different ways, okay? One, you know, you offer incentives, but people don't like that, cause it means tax dollars. The other is you create an ordinance, and people don't like to be told what they've done with their property. One of the problems with Mike, as I said earlier, is the overlapping of zoning.
Okay.
You know, the state's involved, the state has really just put a big stop on his project.
Yeah, this is for the Chinese restaurant.
Yeah, well,
and
like the
I'm
whole
in-
building, actually.
Yeah, and I sympathize for that guy, I mean, he's
Yeah.
working there morning till midnight. But I mean, there's other businesses that really need some improvement, and I'm just thinking, could that be some type of economic development that helps these
Maybe we ought to have a committee for that.
I agree with you.
No, I
I
mean,
hear what you're saying.
it's
I
just like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like, it doesn't have to happen in 1 year, but is it something that could be on here, hey, you know, can we help our local businesses? They're struggling too.
Yeah.
Like,
Benjamin Moore paid for like a whole downtown to get painted in a town somewhere
Mhm.
on a revitalization thing like that, where they donated
yeah,
all the paint.
revitalization, we need to revitalize our existing
No.
buildings and businesses, and how do we do that? Like, maybe that's something, you know, instead of something new, like, let's help what's going on now and save what we've got.
And you could add something there, you know, revitalize, you know,
Yeah.
that could be added as something.
I see construction and it's just like, ugh.
Yeah, to me that,
Let's improve what we've got first,
Yeah.
you know, so
I
I just,
would-
maybe that's something we can incorporate in that development, or
yeah,
it would be nice to
Yeah.
help the
Yeah.
downtown, just look nice.
I mean, the old, not, Dingling, that's what it was called, the
Yeah.
Dingling
Yes.
restaurant.
Yeah.
Annoying.
That has been, that got auctioned off, and it's just been sitting dormant there for the longest time. In fact, I think they owe taxes on it. Anyway, then you got that other house right beside Cumbies, but I think that's because
That's coming down.
yeah, that's coming,
Coming
yeah.
down.
it is coming
Yeah.
down.
It has to as part of the
They
sale,
put it out, yeah,
so,
right, it's going to auction, right?
right, it's going to auction and I believe
Just land.
one of the requirements is that it has to be demolished.
Right, it's actually a sealed bid, it's on the, website, and been published at HMA and the construction summary, for sealed bids, that will be due, toward the end of the month.
Oh, nice. That's some glimmer of
Yeah.
information.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
You know, then you got Charles Street here, that burnt house down here. It burnt down like what,
Oh, really?
5 years ago?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. In fact, she sued the town, I believe, won. But anyway,
I know there's a house up on Silver Street, the yellow one that's been vacant.
the blue one right on corner of Dawson. right
Dawson,
there.
yep.
And
Right, yeah.
But,
Still
you know, a
empty.
lot of these things though, there's things behind the scenes that people do not know.
Exactly, might be waiting for land to come up, or taxes, and waiting the 3-year period.
Yeah.
Some of these
Wow.
things have been in probate, so, you can't always judge on the surface either.
Mhm.
So, but, all right, okay, so this is the last question of the economic development survey. The next ones are something that Bruce submitted to us. I guess my question to you folks is, it's what, 8:11? Do you think this is a good breaking point? And in the meantime, Mike can get some feedback from them.
Yeah.
I can actually, do you wanna reach out to Dennis and, at the same time, and just ask him if,
Dennis?
Woods,
Woods? Is that
isn't
what we're
he
talking about?
the economic development?
Oh, yeah. Actually, I was actually gonna go to the meeting.
Okay, but ask them if, they wanna kinda, maybe have a group type discussion on it,
Yeah, combined meeting,
combined meeting.
yeah.
And then we can get into the mechanics and all the other stuff, but, and then break here, and then depending on, what they say, we can get into with them, and we can review with them if we do have a combined meeting, the questions that Bruce, came up with. The only one that I had a question myself on was question 14, but we don't need to get into that tonight.
We also
Is
need
that-
to I agree with your idea. I think we also need to figure out though, how many, do we need all these questions? Want all these questions? Because I think it's gonna be too big of a survey.
I think she put it best. You're not gonna have anybody sit there for a half hour and fill out a
Mhm.
survey.
No.
5 minutes, really.
Right, yeah.
I had a
Yeah,
survey
it's gotta be
today on
quick.
the phone, I'm like, really, I got,
You
this
gotta
is
go.
taking a lot longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, and depending on where people are gonna get them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll get a hold of the Economic Development
Okay.
Committee, see if we can have a combined meeting in regards to the survey, chat about it.
Yep.
I'll call towns, different towns, to find out what they have going for missions. They have committees like ours, the efficiency committee, task force, and how they work it, how it's been working. And I'll try and draft up a letter to the economic changes on suggestions for it, but we won't, the letter has to come back here first to be approved by the committee before it goes out to them. So you wanna do that first, you wanna have me write up a letter
Unless,
asking for a joint meeting.
unless we as a
changes
committee
of-
agree to allow you to do that.
Right,
That is
And-
acceptable for us to do.
right, and like numbering, changing the wording. So we'll send them a letter. Next time we have a meeting, I'll have a letter for you, all you to read, either approve it, or if you approve it, then it gets sent out.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Do we have to decide when our next meeting is, or are we going with
You- This is scary. Our first meeting and we're already
the?
thinking
There you
alike.
go.
What is today? Huh?
The ninth,
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. What is today?
I think it's the ninth,
Yes.
Yes.
September 9th.
9/9, yeah.
So our next meeting could be
20.
the 22nd if you'd like.
Yeah.
I think we should have some meeting this month, because
Yeah.
we've got ourselves a
Yeah.
bundle here right now.
Oh, yeah.
The 22nd is the budget,
What's-
September or October?
September.
September.
So the 22nd is the budget committee.
Is the
Is
budget
it?
committee?
That's it,
I had the 22nd down.
Is,
yeah,
budget committee is the last Tuesday of the month.
right.
Will be the 29th.
So that would be the 29th.
I know, I think, I have it done the 22nd, I have to double check.
Do you have the
Yeah,
website up?
22nd. 22nd sounds right to me,
That the budget committee has it,
yes. That's,
so they're messing me up already?
That didn't
The
take
fourth,
long.
fourth Tuesday of the month?
Yeah,
This
it's the
is 5
22nd.
Tuesdays.
Oh, there you go.
Oh, yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You are
5
absolutely
Tuesdays
correct.
this
Well, it being
So we
like
can
said-
go for the 29th,
29.
Yeah.
and then our next meeting would be the 13th of October. So that would be 2 weeks apart, which would be okay.
Yep.
So everybody agree on September 29th?
So is that the task force and, or just task?
Just the task force.
So we're not doing the 23rd? Did I miss something?
what's it, 23rd?
Oh, you did miss something, yes, I
Okay, that's
apologize.
okay.
It's not you, it's me. We have 2 members of the committee that have conflicts on our original days.
Oh, okay.
Because the school board actually meets on Wednesdays, the first and whatever. So we elected 2, our standard is going to be the second Tuesday of each month. And if we feel like we need a workshop,
Yeah.
we'll do the 4th. Did I say that correctly? Second and the 4th Tuesday?
Yes, I think
Fourth
so.
Tuesday, can't.
Can't.
Yeah, that's
Budget.
normally budget committee, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe just alternate day. Is that gonna be a workshop, the 29th then?
The 29th will be a workshop, yes.
Well, it would be, you would just leave it the Wednesdays then? Or you, oh, that's
We had
because they
conflicts on
always have a
Wednesdays.
meeting on Wednesday,
Yep.
so you're looking for an alternative day, I see, yeah.
So can someone please make me sane? What did we decide on?
you said the second Tuesday.
We
What's that?
said,
You said the second Tuesday.
Yeah.
Second Tuesday, and then we'll decide on
Tuesday, yeah.
the second meeting.
If needed, yeah, we
If
can
needed, we'll
decide that, look for a clear day for everybody.
Okay,
and it may be a Thursday, because I think Thursdays were pretty much open.
yep,
Just as long as it's not the fourth Thursday.
Right.
4th, oh, the 1st.
Right.
Totally clear except for,
I'm not sure if we're running out of committee or we're running out of days.
I don't, you know, if someone is really bored and wants to like take up just going to meetings, just move to Milton. You know, it's like, all right. So the next meeting is September 29th at 6 p.m. We got to that? Okay.
Yes.
Other business, as comes before the task force. I have something, but I'll reserve it to the next time. Anybody have anything else they wanted to bring up tonight?
I thought it was a very productive meeting, to tell you the truth.
Getting there.
We are. Thank you, yeah. Any public comment? Obviously none. And does anybody,
They all came in.
does anybody wanna make a motion
Motion to close the meeting?
to adjourn? Yes.
To adjourn the meeting.
I'll second.
All in favor? Excellent. I know we're adjourned. Have you been named the representative for this task force? Or have you even talked about it at